Okay, I'm going to review the for loop assignment, or assignment 11. Assignment 11 requires a student to display the ability to do a for loop with some conditions, some relational operators, thinking logically, and maybe an if statement. You're going to write the source in your design code that's going to ask the user for a single character from the keyboard, then a number between 1 and 50. And then it's going to take those values and create what I call a right triangle and growing number of rows each time, and then an upside down right triangle. Some hints down here, and the other part is to make sure the values are between 1 and 50. Okay, so here's the main of my program after my comment header. I first ask the user to enter a character. I get that character and I store it in a variable called letter. And now I have 3 more variables, 1 for the lower bound of the range, 2 for the upper bound of the range, and 3, this is a loop control flag. So I set my bad equal to true, assuming whatever the user enters is going to be a bad number. So while bad, I leave bad true inside this loop. I get the number. So I ask the user for a number between 1 and 50, convert it into an integer, and then I test it. If the number is between 1 and 50, then bad is false, meaning it's good. And then I create the right triangle. So here's the code that creates the right triangle. And this is right side up. And then this creates the right triangle a complete different way than I did it here, just to show you 2 different ways to do the same thing. And this one does it upside down. So this one requires a nested for loop, so an outer loop and then an inner loop. This requires this range to go from the higher number down to the lower number in steps of -1, so that's unique, that's different. And if they come up here and this is not true, I come all the way down here, I set bad equal to true, and I yell at them. So let's watch this run. So when I run, the program says enter a character. So let's say I enter a capital X, enter a number between 1 and 50. So I put 222. It says the number you entered is not between 1 and 50. Put a negative number. The number you entered is not between 1 and 50. I'll put a 10 and notice what happens. Here's my right triangle from 1 to 10. And I did line number even though that was not a part of the specs. And let's say the client did not care for this. Well, then I can undo it. But I did line number. And then here's the triangle from 10 to 1. So after looking at that output, I noticed the double-digit row numbers were indented by 1, where the single-digit row numbers were not. So my triangle did not look perfect. So what I did is I came in here and I used this format specifier. So what I did is I made sure that the number, including the dot and the space, takes up 4 spaces. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I run it. So I did that here and I did it here. And the end result is, as you're going to see, when I run it, I enter a character. I enter the number of rows and check it out. Everything's nice and neat. So the number with the dot takes up 4 spaces. So this does not shift over, it goes straight down. Did the same thing here. All right, so I'm going to post this code. I didn't want it to be too long. It's only 4 minutes, and that's all I got to say.